Yo, what's good? If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you ain't, welcome back, bro. In today's video, I'm gonna be breaking down my process of how I mix my drill beats. In my case, there's no secret sauce to it. I keep shit simple. I'd say 50% of my mix comes from just using decent sounds in the first place. 45% comes from leveling those sounds correctly. And the last 5% just comes from plugins and just little touches like that. Ideally, all the tips that I'm about to show you should be done while you're making the beat, but just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna break everything down into 3 simple steps. Let's go. Let's get the fucking cans on. All right. So what I've done is I've taken a beat that I've already finished and I've reverted all of the mixing that I've done to it. So let's give it a listen and see what it sounds like. As expected, that sounds like complete shit. Right, so step 1, level your sounds correctly and remove any unnecessary frequencies. So what I always do before I even lay the drums down is I'll remove the low frequencies from my melody. Because if the lower frequencies are still present in your melody, it will clash with the lower frequencies from all of the other instruments like the 808. Also, side note, if you're using halftime at all on your melodies, make sure you add an EQ after the halftime. Because 1, the order of your plugins matter, and 2, halftime produces low end, which will clash with your 808. So I throw on a parametric EQ and just get rid of the lows. Okay, so now for the sound leveling or gain staging, whatever you want to call it, I usually do it all in the channel rack. This is just personal preference because by the time it gets to the mixer, if I want to automate any of the volumes here, I like to do it just from a clean slate and it just makes more sense to me in my head. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a fruity soft clipper to the master. What this will do is just apply some gentle compression. So any sounds that go over 0 dB will be... What the fuck am I doing with my hand? It's gonna stop the shit clipping, all right? That's all you need to know. If you wanna get into the science of it, fucking Google it. So what I'm gonna do now is just listen to the beat and level the sounds to my preference. Don't try and copy the exact dB levels that I'm going for because odds are we're gonna be using completely different sounds and what works for my beat might not work for yours. So just work on training these. So I'm gonna mute all these effects, save them till last, and just focus on getting the volume of the drums and the melody right. Now I like my snare to hit quite aggressively, so a plugin I use quite a lot is the free version of Diablo by Cymatics. What I'll do is turn that on, increase the punch and clip. So this is without Diablo, this is with Diablo. And then what I'll do usually is just take it down a couple dB to account for the fact that the volume's raised because of the distortion that I just applied to it. I felt like I just used a lot of words just then. Did that make sense? Right, so I like how the hats and the snare's sounding, so let's go on to the kick. So with the kick, I've made it hit at A sharp and I've turned the velocity all the way up. I haven't used the boost knob or anything like that. It's sounding pretty good out the box. Now I've got some other sounds I laid down that hit when the kick hits, so I'll go in and level those as well. Now we're gonna level the 808. I never have my 808 at max velocity. I usually always have it around here, just personal preference. This is what it sounds like with nothing done to it. What we're gonna do is first apply a Fruity Blood Overdrive, just a distortion plugin. Then we're gonna use a Fruity Stereo Enhancer to enhance the stereo. Here's the before and after. Off, on. Also, we've got a Fruity limiter on the 808 channel, the kick sidechain to it. So every time the kick hits, the 808 ducks down a bit. Now we've got these vocals that are layered on top of the melody. Sounding way too loud right now. We've got this version and a reverse version. Make sure those are both on the same mixer channel. We can just lower them together. Then we can go through and level these little risers and stuff that I added. All right, so that's step 1 complete. Let's listen to how it's sounding so far. To be honest, to me, we're already like 90% of the way there. So let's move on to step 2. Now that we've got the level sounding how we want, what we're gonna do is add some panning to add some depth and space to the mix. One thing I like to do a lot is with my hats, I'll use a free plugin called Pancake. And what this will do is just automate panning for me. If you're watching this on a phone right now, you ain't gonna be able to hear none of this, but usually I'll set it to like 1 bar. and then decrease the mix a bit, so a bit of it still stays in the center. What I'll do as well is apply some pancake to these vocals I had, so as the voice comes in on one side, it goes out on another. So what I'm going to do on my hats is use a free plugin called Wider and then set it to 200%. This will just increase the stereo spread of the hats. This is it off. This is it on. Also, I'm going to go ahead and remove any unnecessary lows from each of my instruments. For example, with these open hats, I don't really need all of this, so I'm going to just get rid of it. And I'm going to do the same for every instrument as well. I just don't want any unnecessary low end in the mix because I'm saving that for the 808. All right, so we've added some panning to give our mix some space. Let's listen to what it sounds like. Alright, that is 95% there, so let's move on to step 3. Step 3, use plugins and various effects to add the finishing touch. Okay, so what I'll usually do before the soft clipper, I'll throw on a free plugin called Fresh Air on my master. I don't really know what to call this plugin. I guess you could call it like an exciter. It adds like warmth, brightness and crunchiness to shit. So I usually put it on my master and increase the mids and highs a bit, just to make the high end a bit crunchier. Here's the beat without Fresh Air. Here's the beat with Fresh Air. Sometimes I also use a paid plugin called Ozone 9. It's a little bit pricey, but I think you can do like a rent to own through Splice if you don't want to pay that much at once. Plugin's got stereo widening, dynamic EQ, equalizers, and it's also got this really cool master assistant where it pretty much uses AI to master your beat. And I've tried it out a couple of times and the mixes that it produces are pretty fucking good. But to be honest, I think if you're just making beats for placements, a soft clipper and maybe a bit of Fresh Air or an EQ or something is more than enough. Because odds are, if a rapper buys one of your beats and records a song to it, that song's gonna go to an engineer and then the engineer's gonna do what he needs to do, and you don't really have to worry about that process. Unless you're mixing and mastering for someone, in which case. Also, I know there are a lot of people out there that talk about specific dB levels and leaving headroom and all that shit. But in my opinion, if a particular element of a beat is too loud, as long as it's not clipping or distorted, an engineer can just take it and turn it the fuck down. But yeah, as you can see, I keep shit simple. Choose good sounds, level them correctly, use some light effects, done. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like. If you want to see more from me, consider subscribing. Also, if you want a more in-depth video about how I get my kick and 808 to schmack, check out this video next. Come on, I know you got the time.